guys remember we talked about the town in Yamaguchi that accidentally sent everybody's COVID-19 relief money to the same person?
Yes, I
So-
firmly remember this.
There's a lot of news that has come out about this, including man who accidentally received entire town's COVID-19 relief money vanishes.
No.
Man who got entire town's COVID-19 relief money believed to have lost it all at online casinos. And man who gambled entire Japanese town COVID relief money arrested.
Damn.
So,
And
They
thus
had to
ends
get
the
it to someone
trilogy.
addicted to
A
pachinko.
story and 3 headlines.
yes, I'm going to speed read because these are actually pretty funny.
I like to believe that it wasn't actual gambling. I want to believe it was gotcha, like fate and stuff.
So the recipient said, quote, "I will not run," and then ran. So last month we reported on the curious case of one man receiving 46.3 million yen, or 360,000 US dollars, in 100,000 yen COVID-19 relief payments intended for 463 households in the town of Abu in Yamaguchi Prefecture. At the time, the mayor apologized for the clerical error that led to the mistake and was pursuing ways to get the money back, but quite a lot has happened since then. First, details about how the error occurred have come to light. The town compiled a list of all the applicants for the money and put all of their account information on a floppy disk to send to the bank in order to execute the transfers. Now, before you go scoffing at them for using storage tech from the days of Leet Wares, that part actually went off without a hitch.
Unlike
problem-
the last. How did they not link to that other article about the police?
Right?
And
Right?
these are notorious for linking to random articles, and the one where there's a link, they don't like a connection. They don't actually link to it.
It's probably because Master Blaster probably didn't write that other article. That might be why. So it wasn't fresh in his mind. The problem was that in tandem with the floppy disk, the town's transfer order was also sent to the bank online. It was there that the man in question's account was at the top of the list, but was apparently formatted in such an erroneous way that the bank mistook it for a sort of proxy that all the money should go to first and then be filtered into the proper accounts. When the man noticed the windfall in his account on the 8th of April, he seemed to have had one of those angel devil shoulder moments, and the devil quickly won. Bit by bit, he began moving amounts of about 600,000 yen, which is roughly $6,000, every day for about 2 weeks to avoid detection. Meanwhile, the town realized what they had done and began looking for the money. When they found out where it went, they immediately tried to get in touch with the man, but had a hard time. It was almost as if he was avoiding them. After they finally caught up with him on the 21st of April, the man informed them that the money was gone from his account and that, quote, "it cannot be undone anymore. I will not run. I will pay for my crime," end quote.
How much money did he get from the online casinos?
I don't know. We're gonna get to that pretty soon, though. This left officials in an awkward position legally, since they technically gave him the money through an error, and it wasn't exactly stealing in the crystal clear sense of the crime. They consulted lawyers and law enforcement, and on the 12th of May, finally took action by filing a lawsuit against the man, demanding 51.16 million yen, 397,000 US dollars, made up of the amount he took plus legal fees. There was just one problem. He was already long gone. In the time it took the town to take legal action against the man, he cleaned out his bank account, quit his job, abandoned his home, and went on the lam. It turned out he wasn't living there long anyway, having only moved to Abu in October of 2020 through their vacant house bank program. These types of programs help owners of vacant homes in rural areas rent them out, while also attracting younger people to repopulate these areas through tax breaks. Reporters spoke to the owner of the home, who described the 24-year-old man as, quote, "a good boy, young and handsome." The landlord also said that he had received rent for the month of May, but is unsure if it will continue after that. Needless to say, a real circus is ballooning from this clerical error, and readers of the news are both amazed and ashamed by what has transpired so far. Quote, he's very slippery. This is a sad story. The officials gave him enough time to make his escape, that's for sure. If he was in his 70s, I could understand making a run for it, but at 24, that money isn't going to last. There's something very wrong with the system if this can happen. When the money runs out, he's still going to be a fugitive. There are so many cameras out there these days, I don't think he can get away with it. It does seem like the odds are very much stacked against this person. If the police can track individuals in a crowd of thousands using surveillance cameras, he would probably have to adopt a survivalist lifestyle in the wilderness to stay off their radar, which would ironically make all that money rather useless.
Or just put on your damn mask.
On the other hand, he still isn't technically being charged with a crime, so maybe the police won't go looking for him. According to a lawyer interviewed by Nikon Gendai, the lawsuit will go forward in his absence and is pretty much guaranteed to go in the town's favor. However, after 10 years, the order to pay damages will become invalid, and essentially, he will have gotten away with it if things remain the way they are. So then he lost it all in online casinos, right? So the generals were due. So the saga continues for the 24-year-old man, right, who took the money and ran. As we learned last time, upon receiving the bank transfer, the man gradually withdrew the money that was intended for 463 homes in Abu and Yamaguchi Prefecture in amounts of, $4,600 every day for roughly 2 weeks. When it was all gone, he finally returned the town's calls, but told them, quote, it cannot be undone. I will not run. I will pay for my crimes. This is easier said than done, however. Spending money that was given is a rather murky crime. So the town struggled to find the correct course of action, and in the end, they opted to sue him for the $394,000 with legal fees added in. However, by the time the lawsuit was filed, the man had gone on the run, quitting his job and abandoning his home. Holy shit, I should have skipped all these. With his true motives completely hidden, we could only speculate whatever Machiavellian plan he had concocted to stash the money and wait out his debt's 10-year statute limitation. I had a theory he was moving the money through crypto and meat. That's what I would have done. Mainly because I always wanted to find a use for this stock image. Oh, why does this exist? Fucking Bitcoin is ground beef.
Well.
But with this most recent development, I may have grossly overestimated this person. On the 16th of May, a lawyer claiming to represent the man held a press conference. Although he said he didn't know the current whereabouts of the man, he said he had been in communication with him. At the press conference, he simply reiterated the man's claims, saying that the money had run out and that it could not be returned, stopping short of any details where it might have went.
Yeah, it went
What
to Gotcha Games.
A news conference with the lawyer who either doesn't want to be identified or has a very saucy face tattoo. I guess he was maybe pixel blurred or whatever. Shortly afterward, JNN reported that people involved with the man were told that he had spent it all at a number of online casinos. When asked about the revelation, Abu Mayor Norihiko Hanada expressed his doubts, saying, quote, it's hard to think that such a large amount of money would be used up so quickly. So I wonder if that's the case. He added that he expects the truth to come out in the trial. Comments online, meanwhile, were divided over whether to believe someone could squander such a large sum of money in such a fast and ridiculous way. Oh, Kaiji. Is that the plot of Kaiji? That he gambles this huge windfall of money? I know it's a gambling anime, but anyway. What's he talking about? He can totally give it back. Just get a job. If he used an online casino, isn't it technically a crime now? It takes a special kind of talent to be able to lose that much money that quickly. Maybe he played at the same table as people he knew and laundered the money that way. He probably expected to win big enough and fast enough so he could return the original amount hastily soon after and pocket the rest. Honestly, that's my thoughts here, right? The way I see it, I figure if I had like $1 million end up in my bank account and I knew I was going to have to give it back, like you would say, okay, look, I'm going to play blackjack. I'm going to bet all of it. And if I win, I double my money and I give back the $1 million and I still get to keep the $1 million. Right. But if you lose, it's like, well, life wasn't that great anyway. I guess I'm going to jail.
So, the police are just going to say that doesn't count. You stolen funds. Give us that too.
Give us that too. Right. Well, alternatively, what I probably would do, because honestly, it's a safer bet probably is, well, I guess I'm putting it all in Bitcoin. Hopefully it goes up a penny, right? God, can you imagine putting $1 million in Bitcoin? It goes up 1 penny, how much money you would make?
A lot.
So while some complex theories emerge that the man could have somehow manipulated the online gambling market to launder his gains, it's hard to read that last comment and imagine it having gone any other way. It would certainly explain his initial behavior in avoiding the town officials and his remorse when finally contacted. There's still a fair chance that this is yet another lie in the ever-growing web that surrounds his missing money, though. And this story appears far from over. Still, it really is beginning to look like they should have aired that Gunma-chan episode that dealt with the dangers of gambling after all. Wow. That is a stretch for an article. It might have helped this guy. And then lastly, he was arrested. All right, let's see if I can skip these first two paragraphs. Despite the loss of a good chunk of the town's annual budget, they had considered problems taking firm legal action since they technically gave him the money. From a legal standpoint, it'd be as if I left a duffel bag full of cash in a random stranger's house. I probably would blame myself more than anyone if I had never got it back. Granted, that's an oversimplification of the situation, and factors such as the man's awareness of how the money arrived in his bank account also come into play. But the situation still made pressing criminal charges. What? But the situation still made pressing. Oh, I don't know how I missed the last word there. But the situation still made pressing criminal charges that would stick difficult. That's all changed now, however, thanks to a recent development such as the man's objectively boneheaded decision to blow all 46.3 million yen of the accidental transfer at online casinos. Aside from being a horrible waste of money, it also put him in the crosshairs of law enforcement as committing fraudulent use of a computer. Wow. I'd like to see like the casework behind that, like how you could also be accused of the same crime there. Like the breadth of that charge is. This is a conveniently vague. Oh, there you go. This is a conveniently vaguely defined crime that pretty much just involves using technology to obtain money or goods dishonestly. One past example of fraudulent use of a computer was the case of an elderly woman in Wakayama who tricked her supermarket self-checkout scanner by putting discount stickers on full-price items she wanted to buy. So it's pretty wide-reaching. Yeah, I think we covered this. She figured out that the stickers that they put on things applied a 50% discount or whatever to whatever the thing was. So she was taking stickers off products and putting them on more expensive products and reaping the rewards.
Mm. It's the whole bento thing where it's got the sticker on it.
In the case of this defendant, who has now been officially named as Sho Taguchi, he was using a smartphone app to gamble, which automatically withdrew money from his account as he played. By using a computer-like device to move money, which he knew wouldn't belong to him, or which he knew didn't belong to him, police believe he was engaging in computer fraud. A newly launched investigation into his activity revealed that he had done it about 34 times in the 11-day period that it took him to squander everything. Wow. Despite initial calls for his arrest, online comments now seem unsatisfied with this development, based on the notion that he wouldn't be able to pay back the money if he were in prison. Are they stupid? How can he return the money if he's arrested? I would have been way too scared to try something like that. So is the person who sent him the money not getting punished? Right? Fucking right?
Yep.
Can't return any money while under arrest. Would you throw your life away for 40 million? This is so stupid. This is stupid and too late, right? How could you make the argument that he never would have committed the crime if he wasn't sent the money in the first place? Along the same lines, it wouldn't be surprising if Taguchi's lawyer is preparing a defense that he was the victim in all this. Considering the almost superhuman speed at which he lost so much money gambling and the digital receipts to prove it, it probably wouldn't be a stretch to diagnose him with a gambling addiction. Media spoke to his former landlord and coworker prior to his going on the lam, both of whom said that he was always a very mild-mannered and punctual person, further strengthening the case that he was an essentially good guy who had a momentary lapse of control over his inner demons during a moment of intense temptation. On the other hand, he also seems to have a chronic habit of screwing up. So we'll see if another revelation comes out.
He's a fuck up.
that blows that whole defense out of the water in the coming days.
The only thing that makes sense is if he literally lost it all, I guess, in one go. How is he completely broke? Not when you gamble, a lot of times you get back to at least sometimes a small winning. He must have done something
You'll have
to
to forgive me as
blow
I
it
take
all.
That's not
another
how
leap.
gambling works. That's not how gambling works. You gamble, you lose it all.
Well, I mean, I guess if he gambled everything in one shot, it depends on the kind of gambling, I guess.
No matter what the amount. If you gamble, you lose it all if you don't win. That's the point of
Yeah, well,
gambling.
yes, there. But what don't? Okay. I see where you're taking what I said because the way I phrased it. How? Okay, he had 40 million yen. How the fuck did 40 million yen turn to nothing over
In 11
such
days?
he had to do multiple times. He had to do
placed
this
the
over and
biggest
over and
bet
over
he
again.
could on the slot machines every time.
That would
That's
be
how
the
he
only
did it.
thing. So yeah, this guy is a really big idiot. Like it has to be something of that level of stupidity. Also,
Like,
how fast
He
did they let
probably
him
spent it
know?
all on his food and lodgings once he got out of his house. I mean, hotel rental isn't cheap.
Yeah, heck, basic renting a house isn't cheap. But yeah, he probably did something. He probably just went spin crazy. But how fast did they let him know that this wasn't his? Like he could have just had this whole stroke process mindset of, oh my god, they were giving us stimulus and they just happened to give me 40 million yen. It's a stretch, but we've seen dumber. Just playing devil's advocate for a second there. No other comments?
No, I AC left
people
for a
have-
minute.
People have gambling problems. They'll
True.
keep gambling, and you get into a vicious cycle, right? You're like, okay, well, I'm gonna bet, half of it and see if I can just double half of it, and then
Right.
you lose it, and you're like, oh shit,
And you're like, fuck, now I need to get that back, right?
yeah.
So I gamble another half of it, right? And then I need to gamble more and more because otherwise I'm never gonna get it back. So
I'm not
surely-
walking home tonight.
fucking
My
idiot gambling
wife won't let me
online.
in.
Don't gamble online. It's hard. It's harder for them to swindle your money if you gamble with actual cards at a real casino.
Right.
And I would be hard pressed to believe that 98% of online gambling isn't just straight up the house is pretty much going to always win. Is the way I'm just going to phrase it.
Going into a gambling in an actual casino with 42 million yen, whatever, just go to the freaking roulette table and bet on everything.
Yeah, but see, so this is where it becomes difficult though, because in order to he had to do an online casino because if you went to a roulette table, you need to cash as chips, right? And
Right.
so how do you get what was it, 340,000 US dollars?
I obviously don't do it all at once.
Yeah, but how do you even do it? How do you go to a casino and say, yes, I'll take $300,000 in chips, right?
I've heard of people getting, I think it was 500K or something here in the US at least, in chips somehow.
Yeah, but
some
I mean,
way.
how do you spend all of it at once like
That's
that?
the problem I'm
without your-
trying to figure out.
without your
But
bank.
They
canceling
said it was over a course of
Period of
11 days.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no. Yes, over 34 deductions over 11 days, I think is what it was. So
No, that was
anyway. No. That
Which
it was 2 weeks.
my
of-
bank has shut me down for 2 PlayStation purchases that seemed
right. That's
out
what I'm
of
saying. Is that it
place.
would be very difficult to actually pull it all out like that.
Yeah.